The transport ship's doors opened with a loud hiss. Hyung stepped out onto the metal floor of Nexus Prime Station. The air tasted different here, clean and cold, nothing like Earth's warm atmosphere. She gripped her bag tighter and looked around. The space station was huge, bigger than any building she had ever seen on Earth. Tall walls stretched up so high she could not see the top. Lights blinked everywhere like stars. But what made her stomach twist were all the eyes staring at her. Aliens, lots of them. A group of tall green-scaled creatures stood near the wall. Their yellow eyes watched her every move. These were saurians she knew from her studies. They looked like the dinosaurs from old Earth movies, but they walked on two legs and wore military uniforms. One of them made a sound that might have been laughter. "Look at that tiny thing," one saurian said to another. His voice was deep and rough. "How did something so small get into our academy?" Hyung kept walking. She had heard worse things before. On Earth, people called her too short, too quiet, too weak. But here she was, the first human ever accepted into the Galactic Military Academy. She would not let some big lizard scare her away. Hyung, she turned and saw a familiar face. Taman ran toward her, his smile wide and bright. He was her oldest friend from Earth. They had grown up in the same small town and trained together in the same military camp. "I cannot believe you made it," Taman said, pulling her into a quick hug. "When I heard they accepted another human, I hoped it would be you." "How long have you been here?" Hyung asked. 3 months. It has been, ... Interesting. Taman's smile faded a little. "Come on, let me show you to the dorms. We need to talk." They walked through long hallways filled with cadets from different species. Hyung saw beings with 4 arms, others with blue skin, and some that looked like walking trees, but most of them were saurians. They were the biggest group at the academy, and they acted like they owned the place. "The saurians run everything here," Taman said quietly as they walked. "They have been the main military force in the galaxy for 1,000 years. They think humans are weak." "What do you think?" Hyung asked. "I think they are about to learn something new." They reached the human section of the dorms. It was much smaller than the other areas. Only 12 humans had ever been accepted to the academy. Most of them were older than Hyung and had special skills like engineering or medicine. "This is your room," Taman said, stopping at a door. "Mine is right next door. The other humans are Jinwoo, Soyoung, and Dr. Sujin. You will meet them later." Hyung's room was small but clean. A bed, a desk, and a window that showed the stars outside. She put her bag on the bed and sat down. "Tell me the truth," she said. "How bad is it here?" Taman sat in the chair by the desk. "They do not hit us or anything like that. But they make things hard, extra training, harder tests. They want us to quit." "Has anyone quit?" Did. Last month, they said it was not worth it." Taman looked at his hands. "Sometimes I think about it too." Hyung stood up. "We are not quitters, Taman. Remember what Master Park taught us back home. A tree that bends in the storm does not break." Taman said, repeating their old teacher's words. "Exactly, we bend, but we do not break." The next morning, Hyung put on her cadet uniform. It was gray with blue marks that showed she was new. She looked at herself in the mirror. Small, yes. Young, yes. But her eyes were hard and determined. The dining hall was massive. Hundreds of cadets sat at long tables eating breakfast. Hyung got her food, something that looked like eggs but tasted like chicken, and looked for a place to sit. The human table was in the corner. It was much smaller than the others. Jinwoo and Soyoung were already there. Jinwoo was tall and thin with glasses. Soyoung was about Hyung's age, with short black hair and quick eyes. "You must be Hyung," Jinwoo said. "Welcome to the hardest school in the galaxy." "Is it really that bad?" Hyung asked, sitting down. "Depends on how you look at it," Soyoung said. "The classes are tough, but fair. The real problem is some of the other cadets." As if she had spoken magic words, 3 saurians walked over to their table. The biggest one had scars on his face and arms. His uniform showed he was a senior cadet. Well, the scarred Saurian said. Another little human joins our academy. What is your name, tiny one? Cadet Haiyang, she said, not looking up from her food. I am Regon. I run things around here for my people. He leaned down closer. Let me give you some free advice, little human. This place is for real warriors, not for weak creatures who think they are smart. Haiyang put down her spoon and looked up at him. Regon was huge. His head was the size of her whole chest. His teeth were sharp and yellow. But Haiyang had faced bullies before. Thank you for the advice, she said calmly. I laughed. You have spirit. I like that, but spirit will not help you in combat training. We will see how long you last. The three Saurians walked away, laughing loudly. That could have gone worse, Jinwoo said. Or better, Soyoung added. The first day of classes was hard. Haiyang studied galactic history, alien languages, and space navigation. She was good at these subjects. Her brain worked fast, and she remembered everything she read. But then came combat training. Instructor Kethma was from a species called Vrakti. He looked like a giant insect, with 6 arms and black eyes. His voice clicked when he talked. Today, we practice basic fighting moves, he announced to the class. Everyone will fight someone of similar size. Haiyang looked around. Most of the cadets were twice her size. Even the smallest Saurians were much bigger than her. Haiyang instructor Kethma called. You will fight with Cadet Yelka. Jelka was a female Saurian. She was smaller than Regon, but still much bigger than Hun. She had green scales and orange eyes. When she saw Haiyang, she smiled, showing sharp teeth. Try not to break, little human, Yelka said. They put on protective gear and stepped into the fighting circle. Other cadets gathered around to watch. Haiyang could hear them making bets. Most thought she would lose in seconds. Begin, instructor Kethma said. Yelka charged forward like a bull. She was fast for her size, but Haiyang was faster. She stepped to the side, and Yelka ran past her. Stand still and fight, Yelka growled. She swung her big fist at Haiyang's head. Haiyang ducked under it and moved behind her opponent. She tried to hit Yelka's back, but her punch did nothing. It was like hitting a stone wall. Yelka spun around and grabbed Haiyang's arm. She lifted the human girl off the ground easily. Too easy, Yelka said. But Haiyang did not panic. She grabbed Yelka's wrist with both hands and twisted her whole body. It was a move she had learned in martial arts class back on Earth. Yelka's grip loosened, and Haiyang dropped to the ground. Before Yelka could grab her again, Haiyang swept her leg. Yelka was not expecting it. Her feet went out from under her, and she fell hard on her back. The watching cadets went quiet. Haiyang stood up and stepped back. Match over, she said. Instructor Kethma's insect eyes studied her. Interesting technique. Where did you learn that? Earth martial arts, Haiyang said. I see, cadets. Remember what you saw here. Size is not everything. Speed and skill can beat strength. He looked at Haiyang. But remember, Cadet Haiyang, in real combat, you will not always fight fair opponents. After class, Haiyang walked back to the dorms alone. She had won her first fight, but she did not feel happy. The other cadets looked at her differently now. Some seemed impressed, others seemed angry. She was in her room reading when someone knocked on her door. She opened it and found Commander Veltar standing there. He was the biggest Saurian she had seen yet. His uniform was covered with medals and marks of rank. Cadet Haiyang, he said, in a voice like grinding stone, I hear. You had an interesting day. Yes, sir. Let me make something clear to you, human. This academy has standards. High standards. We train the galaxy's greatest warriors here. We do not have time for tricks and games. Haiyang stood straight. I understand, sir. Do you? Your little martial arts show today impressed some people. But I am not impressed. Real combat is not a game. Real enemies will not fall for clever moves. His yellow eyes stared down at her. I think you humans do not belong here. You are too small, too weak, too soft for real war. With respect, sir, I disagree. Commander Veltar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. We will see about that, Cadet. Hayoung, we will see. He walked away, his heavy footsteps echoing in the hall. Hayoung closed her door and sat on her bed. She thought about home, about her family, about Master Park, and all the things he had taught her. She thought about the long training sessions in the mountains, learning to fight opponents bigger and stronger than herself. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. She could feel it. Commander Veltar and his supporters would try to break her, to prove that humans did not belong here. But Hayoung had come too far to give up now. She was not just representing herself, she was representing all of humanity. Every human who had ever been told they were too small, too weak, too different, she would not let them down. Outside her window, the stars shined bright in the darkness of space. Each one was a sun, maybe with planets full of life. Someday, humans would walk among all those worlds as equals. But first, she had to survive the academy. Hayoung smiled and got ready for bed. Let them underestimate her. Let them think she was weak. They would learn the truth soon enough. The next few weeks at the academy were hard for Hayoung. Every day brought new problems. During weapons training, her equipment would malfunction. In the dining hall, cadets would bump into her, spilling food on her uniform. In study hall, her notes would disappear. It was not random. Hayoung knew someone was planning these things. They are trying to break you, Taemin said one evening. They sat in Hayoung's room, cleaning their uniforms after another accident in the chemical lab. I know, Hayoung said. But I will not give them what they want. Maybe you should talk to an instructor. Or send a message to Earth Command. Hayoung shook her head. That would prove their point. They would say humans cannot handle problems without crying for help. 3 days later, Hayoung learned who was behind the problems. She was walking to her tactical simulation class when she heard voices around the corner. She stopped and listened. The human girl is tougher than I thought, one voice said. It was Regan, the scarred Saurian from the dining hall. She has not broken yet, another voice agreed. Maybe we need to try harder. No, Regan said. Direct attacks would get us in trouble with the instructors. We need something better, something that looks like an accident. Hayoung pressed herself against the wall and kept listening. What about the gravity simulator? A third voice suggested. Those machines can be dangerous if they break down. Perfect, Regan said. Tomorrow, during advanced training, make sure the safety systems fail when she is inside. Hayoung's blood went cold. The gravity simulator was used to train cadets for different planet conditions. If it failed wrong, it could crush someone or throw them around like a toy. She waited until the Saurians left, then hurried to find Taemin. They want to hurt you, Taemin said after she told him what she heard. We have to report this. With what proof? It is my word against theirs. Then, do not go to the training tomorrow. If I miss training without a good reason, I get kicked out. That is exactly what they want. Taemin grabbed her shoulders. Hayoung, this is not worth dying for. She looked at her friend. Sweet Taemin, always trying to protect people. Yes, it is. If I run from this, every human who comes after me will face the same thing. Someone has to stand up to them. The next morning, Hayoung went to advanced combat training. The gravity simulator was a big metal room with thick walls. Inside, machines could make gravity stronger or weaker, or even change directions. Today, we practice fighting in low gravity, Instructor Kethma announced. You will work in teams of 4. Each team takes turns in the simulator. Hayoung was put in a team with 3 alien cadets she did not know well. One was a blue-skinned Altarian named Keshra. Another was a tall, thin Vorthan called Nextu. The third was a young Saurian named Torgan, who seemed nervous. Human's first instructor, Kethma said, looking at Hayoung. She walked into the simulator, the door closed behind her with a heavy thud. Red lights blinked on the walls. A voice spoke from speakers in the ceiling. Beginning low-gravity simulation. Gravity reduced to 20%. Hayoung felt her body become lighter. Her feet barely touched the ground. She started practicing the combat moves they had learned, getting used to moving in low gravity. Then something went wrong. The red lights started flashing faster. The voice from the speakers sounded different. Broken. Error. Error. Gravity system malfunction. Gravity increasing to ... 2 ... error. Suddenly, Hyung felt like she weighed 1,000 pounds. She crashed to the floor as gravity became 5 times stronger than normal. Her bones ached. Her muscles screamed. Error. Gravity increasing. Warning, warning. Hyung tried to move, but it was like swimming in thick mud. The gravity kept getting stronger. Soon, she would be crushed. Through the thick window, she could see other cadets gathering outside. Some looked worried. Others looked excited. Regan stood at the back, smiling. The instructors were shouting and pressing buttons, trying to fix the machine. But nothing happened. The gravity kept increasing. Hyung closed her eyes and tried to think. Back on Earth, her grandfather had told her stories about Korean soldiers who survived impossible situations. They did not give up. They found a way. She looked up at the ceiling. There was an emergency vent up there. If she could reach it, she could escape. But how could she move in this crushing gravity? Then she remembered something from physics class. Gravity pulled everything down with the same force. But some things were built to resist force better than others. The walls of the simulator were made of metal beams and panels. If she could use them like a ladder, spreading her weight across multiple points, she might be able to climb. Inch by inch, Hyung crawled toward the wall. Each movement was agony. Her ribs felt like they might crack. Her breathing was short and painful, but she kept moving. She reached the wall and grabbed the lowest beam. Using both hands and feet, she started to climb. The metal cut into her hands, but she did not let go. Up she went, one beam at a time. The other cadets outside were pressed against the window now, watching in amazement. Even Regan had stopped smiling. Finally, Hyung reached the emergency vent. She pulled it open and crawled inside, just as the gravity reached 10 times normal. Strength. If she had stayed on the floor another minute, her bones would have broken. She crawled through the vent until she found another opening. She kicked it open and fell out into the hallway outside the simulator. Room. Instructor Kethma and 2 technicians ran to help her. "Are you injured?" Kethma asked. Hyung stood up slowly. Her whole body hurt, but nothing was broken. "I am fine, sir. How did you escape?" "That should have been impossible. I used the wall structure to distribute my weight and climbed to the emergency vent." Kethma's insect eyes studied her with new respect. Remarkable. Most cadets would have panicked. The technicians fixed the simulator and found the problem. Someone had put a virus in the computer system. It made the safety controls fail. This was sabotage, one technician said. Someone wanted to hurt whoever was in there. Instructor Kethma looked angry. His 6 arms moved in sharp gestures. "I will find who did this, and when I do, they will be expelled." But Hyung knew they would never find proof. Regan and his friends were too smart for that. That evening, something unexpected happened. Keshra, Nextu, and Torgan came to visit Hyung in her room. "We wanted to thank you," Keshra said. Her blue skin looked darker when she was embarrassed. "If you had panicked in there, the instructors might have sent one of us in to help. We could have been crushed." "You saved our lives," Nextu added. His voice was soft and musical. Torgan, the young Saurian, looked uncomfortable. "Not all Saurians agree with what Regan does. Some of us think humans deserve respect." "Thank you," Hyung said. "That means a lot." After they left, Taemin came by with news. "I heard something interesting," he said. "Commander Veltar is planning something big, a special test for humans." "What kind of test?" "I do not know details. But he has been talking to other instructors about proving once and for all that humans do not belong here." Hyung felt tired. Every day was a new battle. Every success brought a bigger challenge. "There is more," Taemin said. "Dr. Sujin wants to see you. She is in the medical bay." Dr. Sujin was one of the few human adults at the academy. She worked as a doctor and medic trainer. She was older, maybe 40, with kind eyes and gray hair. Sit down, Hayoung, Dr. Sujin said when she arrived. I heard about what happened today. It was just an accident with the machine. No, it was not. And we both know it. Dr. Sujin sat across from her. Someone is trying to hurt you. Maybe. Kilya Hayoung said nothing. I have been here for 3 years, Dr. Sujin continued. I have seen other humans struggle. Some quit, some got hurt badly. But I have never seen someone like you, like me. Someone who refuses to break, someone who turns every attack into a victory. Dr. Sujin leaned forward. But I am worried. Each test they give you will be harder than the last. Eventually, they might try something you cannot survive. What choice do I have? If I quit now, they win. There is another option. I can send a report to Earth Command. Tell them what is really happening here. They could pull you out for your safety. Hayoung shook her head. That would end any chance of humans succeeding here. They would say we proved we cannot handle military training. Better alive than dead, is it? How many humans died on Earth fighting for the right to be treated as equals? How many Korean soldiers died defending our country? Was their sacrifice worthless because they could have run away? Dr. Sujin was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled sadly. You sound like my grandmother. She lived through the war years in Korea. She always said the same thing. Some things are worth fighting for. Even if you might lose. Your grandmother was wise. Yes, she was. And stubborn, like you. Dr. Sujin stood up. I cannot stop you from facing whatever comes next. But I can help prepare you. How? I know anatomy. All species have weak points. Places where a small amount of force can cause big effects. If you are going to fight beings much larger than you, you need to know where to hit them. For the next hour, Dr. Sujin showed Hayoung diagrams of different alien species. She pointed out pressure points, nerve clusters, and vulnerable joints. Saurians are tough, but they have 3 weak spots, Dr. Sujin explained. Here, at the base of their neck, here, just behind their front legs, and here, on their inner thigh. A precise strike to any of these spots will cause temporary paralysis. Hayoung memorized everything. She had a feeling she would need this knowledge soon. That night, she could not sleep. She stood by her window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, her home. People there were counting on her to succeed. But it was more than that now. Today, 3 alien cadets had thanked her for saving their lives. Torgan had shown her that not all Saurians were enemies. Even Instructor Kethma seemed to respect her more after the simulator incident. Maybe that was the real goal. Not just to prove humans were strong enough for the academy, but to show that humans could work with other species as equals. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. She opened the door and found Jinwoo standing there. Could not sleep either. He asked, Too much thinking. I wanted you to know what you did today was amazing. You probably saved lives. And you made other cadets see humans differently. I hope so. They are planning something big, Jinwoo said quietly. I have been monitoring their communications. Commander Velta is working with some senior cadets on a final test for you. When? Soon. Maybe next week. They are calling it a traditional trial. Something about ancient combat customs. Hayoung felt a chill. What kind of combat? I do not know yet, but Ha-Young. Jinwoo looked worried. I think they mean to hurt you badly this time. Maybe we should contact Earth Command. No. Whatever comes, I will face it. After Jinwoo left, Hayoung sat on her bed and thought about her training. Back on Earth, her grandfather had taught her that every warrior faced a moment when they had to choose between safety and honor. Her moment was coming. She could feel it approaching like a storm on the horizon. Commander Veltar and Rick were planning something that would either break her completely or prove once and for all that humans deserved respect. Hayoung lay down and closed her eyes. Tomorrow, she would train harder. She would study more. She would prepare for whatever test they had planned. Because she was not just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for every human who would come after her, and for every underestimated being in the galaxy who had ever been told they were not good enough. The storm was coming, but she would be ready for it. The announcement came during morning assembly. All cadets stood in neat rows in the main hall while Commander Veltar spoke from a high platform. His voice echoed off the metal walls. For 1,000 years, this academy has trained the galaxy's greatest warriors, he began. We follow ancient traditions that test not just skill, but character and strength of spirit. Hyung felt her stomach tighten. This was it, the big test Jinwoo had warned her about. Today, I announce a special trial, an ancient Saurian ritual called the Culture Dominance Test. This test will prove once and for all whether certain, smaller species truly belong among warriors. Every eye in the hall turned to look at Hyung. She kept her face calm, but inside her heart was beating fast. The rules are simple, Commander Veltar continued. The challenger will be bound with ceremonial chains while facing multiple opponents in combat. They must break free using only their own strength and defeat all challengers to pass the test. A tall Saurian officer stepped forward. Hyung had never seen him before. He was even bigger than Commander Veltar, with black scales and scars covering his arms. This is Captain Elphick, Veltar said. He will oversee the trial to ensure it follows ancient laws. The test will happen in 3 days. After assembly, the human cadets gathered in Taemin's room. This is insane, So-young said. She was pacing back and forth, her hands shaking. They want to tie you up and let multiple Saurians beat you. It is not a test, it is murder. We have to contact Earth Command, Jinwoo said. This has gone too far. Dr. Sujin had joined them. Her face was pale with worry. I looked up this ritual. It comes from ancient Saurian warrior culture. Prisoners of war were given a chance to fight for their freedom, but they were chained to make it nearly impossible. How many prisoners ever won? Hyung asked. In over 2,000 years of records, 3, and they were all Saurians fighting. Other Saurians. Taemin grabbed Hyung's arm. Please, just this once, let us call for help. No one would blame you. Hyung looked at her friends. These good people who cared about her. She wanted to say yes, to let them save her from this nightmare. But she thought about her grandfather's stories. About Korean soldiers who faced impossible odds but never gave up. About her ancestors who fought for freedom even when the enemy was stronger. No, she said quietly. If I run now, they will say humans are cowards. Every human who comes after me will face worse treatment. Then we fight with you, Taemin said. The rules say I have to face this alone. The rules are designed to kill you, So-young said, tears in her eyes. Maybe, but they are still the rules. Hyung stood up. I need to prepare. Dr. Sujin, can you help me understand more about Saurian pressure points? The next 3 days passed quickly. Hyung spent every free moment training and studying. Dr. Sujin taught her exactly where to strike. For maximum effect, she practiced flexibility exercises to see if she could slip out of chains. Jinwoo used his computer skills to learn everything about the ancient ritual. The chains are made of a special metal called corthium, he told her. It is incredibly strong. Even Saurians cannot break it with pure strength. Then how did the 3 winners escape? The records are not clear. But there are hints that they used the chain's own weight and design against them. On the second day, Regan came to visit Hyung. He found her in the training room, practicing martial arts forms. Still planning to go through with this? He asked. His voice was different now, less mocking, more serious. Yes. You know I volunteered to be your main opponent, right? Hyung stopped moving and looked at him. I figured you would. I want you to know, this is not personal anymore. You have proven you are brave, but you are still human, still small and weak. This trial will show everyone the truth. What truth is that? That courage is not enough. That being smart is not enough. In the end, only strength matters in real combat. Hyung resumed her practice forms. We will see. Yes, we will. Regan turned to leave, then stopped. For what it is worth, Human, you have earned my respect. I will make your defeat quick and clean. Thank you, Hayoung said, and strangely, she meant it. The night before the trial, Hayoung could not sleep. She stood by her window, looking at Earth's star. It was too far away to see clearly, but she knew which one it was. Dr. Sujin knocked on her door. I brought you something, the doctor said. She handed Hayoung a small package. Inside was a piece of cloth with Korean writing on it. It was my grandmother's, Dr. Sujin explained. She carried it during the war. It says courage is not the absence of fear, but action in spite of fear. I cannot take this. Yes, you can. She would want another Korean warrior to have it. Dr. Sujin hugged Hayoung. Make us proud tomorrow. The trial was set for noon. In the academy's main arena, word had spread throughout the station. Hundreds of cadets and instructors filled the seats. Even some civilian aliens had come to watch. Hayoung walked into the arena wearing a simple training outfit. The floor was covered with sand, like ancient gladiator pits from Earth's history. In the center was a metal post with chains hanging from it. Captain Ulfix stood near the post. His black scales seemed to absorb light. When he spoke, his voice was deep and formal. Cadet Hayoung of Earth, do you accept the culture dominance test willingly? I do. Do you understand that this trial follows ancient law, and that no help will be given? I understand. Then approach the binding post. Hayoung walked to the center of the arena. The chains were thick and heavy, made of dark metal that felt cold to the touch. Each link was as thick as her wrist. The challenger will be bound at wrists and ankles, Captain Ulfik announced. The chains cannot be cut or broken by normal means. The challenger must escape using only their own abilities. 2 Saurian guards locked the chains around Hayoung's wrists and ankles. The metal was heavier than she expected. When they stepped back, she could barely move. The challenger will face 3 opponents, Captain Ulfik continued. Cadet Regan, who leads this trial. Cadet Zector, his lieutenant. And Cadet Velanash, also his lieutenant. 3 Saurians entered the arena. Regan, she knew. The other 2 were younger, but still much bigger than any human. All 3 carried wooden practice weapons, clubs designed to hurt but not kill. In the stands, Hayoung could see her human friends. Taiman looked sick with worry. Soyoung was crying. Ginwoo was recording everything, probably to send to Earth Command if she died. Let the trial begin, Captain Ulfik said. The 3 Saurians spread out around Hayoung. She tried to move, but the chains only let her take tiny steps. Her arms were pulled apart, making it hard to defend herself. Do not worry, little human, Regan said, raising his club. This will be over soon. Wait, Hayoung said. There is no waiting in combat, Regan replied. I know, but I want to say something first. Hayoung looked up at the crowded stands. Everyone here thinks humans are weak because we are small. But you are making a mistake. What mistake? Regan asked. You think strength only comes from muscles and size. But real strength comes from here. She touched her chest with her chained hand. And here, she touched her head. Pretty words will not save you. No, Hayoung said, closing her eyes. But this will. She thought about her grandfather's teachings. About the flexibility training Dr. Sujin had helped her with. About everything Jinwoo had learned about the chains. Most importantly, she thought about something her old martial arts teacher had said. When you cannot go through an obstacle, go around it. When you cannot go around it, become smaller than it. Hayoung opened her eyes and smiled. Let us begin. Regan charged forward, his club raised high. The crowd roared. The other 2 Saurians moved to flank her, but Hayoung was not where they expected her to be. She had done something impossible. Something that made the entire arena go silent with shock. The chains that were supposed to hold her were lying empty on the sand, and Hayoung was free. Impossible. Captain Ulfik whispered. Rei single quotes. Joan stopped running and stared. How did you studied my species' weaknesses? Hayoung said, flexing her shoulders. But you never studied our strengths. She had dislocated both shoulders, making her arms thin enough to slip through the wrist chains. Then she had compressed her ankles and slipped out of the leg restraints. It had hurt terribly, but pain was temporary. Defeat was forever. It does not matter, Regan growled. You are still outnumbered 3-1. Yes, Hayoung said, settling into a fighting stance. That seems fair. The real fight was about to begin. In the stands, Taemin was on his feet, cheering. Soyoung had stopped crying and was yelling encouragement. Even some of the alien cadets were showing excitement. Commander Veltar sat in the high seats, his face dark with anger. This was not going according to his plan. But Captain Ulthik watched with interest. In all his years, he had never seen anyone escape Korthium chains. This little human had already done something that would become legend. Now she had to survive. The next part, Regan and his 2 lieutenants spread out again, more careful now. They had clubs. She had nothing but her hands and feet. But Hayoung was no longer afraid. She had passed the first test. Now came the part she had trained for her whole life. Come on then, she said. Show me what Saurian warriors can do. The 3 aliens charged at once. And Hayoung moved like lightning. The arena fell silent. Hundreds of aliens stared in shock at the empty chains lying in the sand. Hayoung stood free in the center, facing 3 angry Saurians, who each weighed 3 times more than her. This changes nothing, Regan snarled, gripping his wooden club tighter. You are still just a small human facing real warriors. Zikdar and Velanash, his 2 lieutenants, spread out to surround her. Zikdar was the bigger of the 2, with dark green scales and yellow eyes. Velanash was faster, with lighter scales and longer arms. 3 against 1, Hayoung said calmly. Are you sure that is enough? The crowd gasped at her boldness. In the stands, Commander Veltar's face turned dark with rage. This was supposed to be a quick lesson about human weakness. Instead, the small human was mocking his best cadets. Captain Ulthik raised his hand. Begin the combat phase of the trial. Everything happened very fast after that. First second. Regan charged straight at Hayoung, his club raised high above his head. He was fast for such a big creature, but Hayoung had been watching how Saurians moved for weeks. They were strong and tough, but they telegraphed their attacks. She waited until the last moment, then stepped sideways. Region S club smashed into the sand where she had been standing, sending up a cloud of dust. Second, Zikdar attacked from her left while she was dodging Region. His club swung in a wide arc toward her ribs. Hayoung dropped low, almost lying flat on the sand. The club whistled over her head. From her position on the ground, she swept her leg in a circle. It caught Zikdar's ankle, just as he was putting his weight on it. The big Saurian stumbled, but did not fall. Third, Velanash came at her from behind while she was still on the ground. Hayoung heard his heavy footsteps and rolled sideways, just as his club crashed down. She kept rolling until she was behind. REI, single quotes. GON. The 3 Saurians were now clustered together, all facing different directions and getting in each other's way. Fourth, Hayoung jumped to her feet and did something that made the crowd gasp. Instead of running away from the 3 fighters, she ran straight toward them. Regan saw her coming and swung his club in a horizontal arc, but Hayoung had timed it perfectly. She ducked under his swing and kept running. Fifth, now was inside their circle, too close for the clubs to be effective. Zikdar tried to grab her with his free hand, but she was already moving. She remembered everything Dr. Sujin had taught her about Saurian anatomy. The pressure point behind the front leg, where nerves clustered together, Hayoung drove her fist into that exact spot on Zikdar's body. The big Saurian's eyes went wide with shock. His arm went numb, and he dropped his club. 6th, Velanash spun around to attack, but now Hayoung had a weapon. She snatched up Zikdar's fallen club and blocked Velanash's swing. The impact sent vibrations up her arms, but she held on. Using the club like a staff, she jabbed the end into Velanash's throat. Not hard enough to seriously hurt him, but hard enough to make him gag and step back. 7th, Regan was getting angry. He had been made to look foolish in front of the entire academy. He roared with rage and charged at Haiyang like a mad bull. This was exactly what Haiyang had been waiting for. She held the club in both hands and planted her feet. When Regan got close, she did something he never expected. Instead of trying to block his charge, she used his own momentum against him. 8th second, as Regan rushed forward, Haiyang stepped aside and used the club like a lever. She caught him across the chest and used his own speed to flip him over. Her shoulder, all 300 pounds of angry Saurian, went flying through the air. He landed hard on his back in the sand, his club flying away. 9th second, Zikdar had recovered from the pressure point strike and tried to tackle Haiyang while she was dealing with Regan, but Haiyang saw him coming. She dropped low and grabbed a handful of sand. As Zikdar reached for her, she threw the sand in his eyes. Blinded, he stumbled past her. Haiyang grabbed his arm as he went by and used a judo throw to send him crashing into Vel. Both Saurians went down in a tangle of arms and legs. 10th second, Regan was getting back to his feet, shaking his head to clear it. He looked around and saw his 2 lieutenants on the ground, groaning. His club was somewhere in the sand, too. Far away to reach quickly, Haiyang stood between him and his weapon, holding Zikdar's club in a ready position. She was breathing hard, but still looked ready to fight. Impossible, Regan whispered. Yield, Haiyang said quietly. The entire arena was silent. No one moved. No one even seemed to breathe. Regan looked at his defeated lieutenants. He looked at the human girl who was half his size. He looked up at the hundreds of witnesses in the stands. Slowly, he raised his hands in surrender. I yield, he said. The arena exploded in noise. Some aliens cheered. Others argued angrily. In the human section, Taemin was jumping up and down while Soyoung and Jinwoo hugged each other. Captain Ulfik stepped forward, his black scales gleaming under the arena lights. By the ancient laws of the Culture Dominance test, he announced, Cadet Haiyang of Earth has achieved victory. She has broken the ceremonial bonds and defeated all challengers. Commander Veltar stood up in his high seat. His face was twisted with rage. This is impossible. Those chains cannot be broken. The chains were not broken, Captain Ulfik replied, calmly. They were escaped through skill and knowledge. The trial was conducted according to ancient law. The result stands. But she is just a human. A weak little commander. Captain Ulfik's voice cut through Veltar's protests like a blade. Are you questioning the validity of sacred Saurian tradition? Veltar's mouth opened and closed like a fish. He could not argue against their own ancient laws without looking like a fool. In the arena, Haiyang dropped the club and walked over to where Regan was sitting in the sand. She offered him her hand. Good fight, she said. Regan stared at her hand for a long moment. Then he took it and let her help him stand up. How? He asked. How did you defeat 3 of us so quickly? You fought like you were alone, Haiyang explained. But you were a team. I made you get in each other's way. I used your size and strength against you, and I aimed for your weak points instead of trying to match your strong points. You studied us. Yes, the way you studied humans to plan this trial. Regan was quiet for a moment. Then he did something that shocked everyone in the arena. He bowed to Haiyang, a formal Saurian gesture of respect between warriors. I was wrong about humans, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. You are not weak, you are a different kind of strong. Zikdar and Velanash had gotten back to their feet. They looked embarrassed but not angry. Velanash spoke first. Will you teach us some of those moves? He asked. Haiyang smiled. If you want to learn, I will teach you. Captain Ulfik approached them. Cadet Haiyang. That was the most impressive display of combat skill I have seen in 20 years at this academy. You have honored both your species and the ancient traditions of trial by combat. Thank you, sir. More than that, you have proven something important. Strength comes in many forms. Today, you showed that intelligence, speed, and skill can defeat raw power. He turned to address the entire arena. Let this be a lesson to all cadets. Never underestimate an opponent based on their size or species. This human has shown that a true warrior uses every advantage, every skill, every piece of knowledge they possess. As Hayoung walked out of the arena, cadets from many different species nodded to her with respect. Some even applauded. The humans were crying with joy and pride, but not everyone was happy. Commander Veltar watched from his high seat, his yellow eyes burning with hatred. He had been made to look like a fool in front of the entire academy. His carefully planned demonstration of human weakness had backfired completely. This was not over, it could not be over. Later that evening, Hayoung sat in her room, treating the cuts and bruises from the fight. Her shoulders ached from dislocating them to escape the chains. Her hands were raw from gripping the wooden club. But she felt good, better than she had felt since arriving at the academy. Tae-min knocked on her door. "How are you feeling? Tired? Sore? Happy?" "The whole academy is talking about what you did. Some of the alien cadets want to train with you. They want to learn human fighting techniques." Hayoung smiled. "That is the point, is it not? We are all here to learn from each other." Commander Veltar does not see it that way. Jinwoo heard him talking to other instructors. "He is very angry. He will get over it. I hope so, because I think this is just the beginning. What you did today changed things. Not just for humans, but for everyone who has ever been told they are too small, or too weak, or too different." Hayoung looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, on Earth and other worlds, there were billions of beings who had been underestimated just like her. Today, she had shown that being small did not mean being weak. That being different was not the same as being inferior, but Taemin was right. This was just the beginning. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There would always be people like Commander Veltar, who believed that might made right. That bigger was always better. But there would also be people like Regan, who could learn and grow and change their minds when shown the truth. Hayoung closed her eyes and thought about those 10 seconds in the arena. 10 seconds that had changed everything. 10 seconds that proved humans belonged among the stars. 3 weeks after the trial, everything at the academy had changed. Hayoung woke up early, as always. But now, when she walked to the dining hall, other cadets nodded to her with respect. Saurians who used to sneer at her now stepped aside politely. Some even asked questions about human fighting techniques. "Good morning, Squad Leader Hayoung," said a voice behind her. She turned to see Keshra, the blue-skinned Altarian from her old training group. Behind her, stood next to the Vorthan and Torgan, the young Saurian. "Just Hayoung is fine," she said with a smile. "We wanted to thank you again," Keshra said. "What you did in the arena, ... It changed how people see all of us smaller species." It was true. After Hayoung's victory, other cadets who had been picked on started standing up for themselves. The academy felt different now, more fair. But not everyone was happy about the changes. During tactical class that morning, Instructor Mektol announced a surprise exercise. "Today, we have a special scenario," the spider-like alien said. "Pirates have attacked the mining colony on Kepler-7. A rescue mission has been launched. Cadet Hayoung will lead a mixed squad to secure the landing zone." Hayoung looked around the classroom. This was unusual. First-year cadets never led real mission simulations. "Your squad consists of cadets, Regan, Zikdar, Velanash, Taemin, and Keshra," Instructor Mektol continued. "You have 30 minutes to plan. Then you deploy to the simulation chamber." After class, Hayoung gathered her new squad in a planning room. It felt strange to be giving orders to Regan, the same Saurian who had tried to beat her in the arena. "The mining colony has 3 main buildings," she said, pointing to a holographic map. "The miners are trapped in the central facility. Pirates control the landing pad and the power station. Standard assault would be to hit the landing pad first," Regan said. "Clear it for reinforcements." "That is what they expect," Hayoung replied. "But what if we do something different?" She outlined her plan. It was risky and required perfect timing. But if it worked, they could save the miners without a big fight. "That could actually work," Zektar said, sounding surprised. It is clever. Velanash agreed. Using the pirates' own defensive positions against them. Are you sure about this? Taman asked quietly. If it fails, we all fail together. Then we better not fail, Haiyang said. The simulation chamber was a huge room that could create any environment using holograms and force fields. When they entered, it looked exactly like the mining colony rocky ground. Metal buildings, and the sound of weapons fire in the distance. Simulation beginning, announced a computer voice. Mission parameters loaded. Begin rescue operation. The squad moved out according to Haiyang's plan. Instead of attacking the heavily defended landing pad, they circled around to the power station was lightly guarded because the pirates thought no one would be foolish enough to attack it. Keshra used her natural climbing ability to scale the building's walls. She disabled the guards silently while the others waited below. Then Taman and Nextu took control of the power systems. Phase 1 complete, Haiyang whispered into her communicator. Regan, you are up. The big Saurian nodded and activated his part of the plan. Using the colony's own communication system, he broadcast a fake message that made the pirates think reinforcements were arriving from the opposite direction. Most of the pirates left their positions to meet this imaginary threat, leaving the landing pad and the central building weakly defended. Now, Haiyang ordered. The squad moved fast. Zekta and Velanash secured the landing pad while Haiyang and the others rescued the trapped miners. The whole operation took less than 15 minutes. Simulation complete, the computer announced. Mission success. All objectives achieved with minimal casualties. The squad looked at each other in amazement. They had just completed one of the hardest scenarios in the Academy's database. That was brilliant, Regan said to Haiyang. How did you think of using their own systems against them? My grandfather taught me that the best victory is the one where your enemy defeats himself. When they left the simulation chamber, they found a crowd waiting for them. Word had spread about their success. Other cadets wanted to know how a mixed squad had solved a scenario that usually required much larger forces. But standing at the back of the crowd was Commander Velta. His yellow eyes were cold with anger. Cadet Haiyang, he called out. Report. To my office, immediately. Haiyang followed the big Saurian through the Academy's corridors. His office was large and filled with weapons and battle trophies from his military career. Sit, he commanded. Haiyang remained standing. I prefer to stand. Sir Velta's eyes narrowed. You think you are very clever, do you not? Winning that trial, leading successful missions, making my cadets look like fools. I think I am doing my job as a cadet, sir, your job. Velta laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Your job is to learn your place. To understand that some species are meant to lead, and others are meant to follow. With respect, sir, I disagree. Velta stood up, using his height to try to intimidate her. You have caused nothing but trouble since you arrived. You make the other cadets think they can challenge authority, question traditions. Maybe some traditions need to be questioned. Careful, cadet. You are walking a dangerous line. What are you going to do? Challenge me to another trial? That worked so well last time. Veltara's face turned dark red. You think you have won something. You think one little victory changes anything. Let me tell you something, human. This academy, this galaxy, runs on strength and order. Your kind will never be more than curiosities, useful for their cleverness, but never trusted with real power. We'll see about that. Yes, we will. Veltar leaned forward. Because I have just received new orders, you and your human friends are being transferred to the Advanced Combat Program. Real missions, real dangers, real enemies who will not be impressed by your tricks. Haiyang felt her heart skip. The Advanced Program was for final year cadets, and it had a high failure rate. When do we start? Tomorrow, and Ha-Young. The Advanced Program does not grade on cleverness. Out there, you either win or you die. No clever tricks will save you from a pirate's laser cannon. That evening, Haiyang met with the other humans in Jinwoo's room. When she told them about the transfer, their faces went pale. This is punishment, Soyoung said. He is trying to get us killed, maybe, Hayoung said. But it is also an opportunity. If we succeed in the advanced program, no one can ever say humans do not belong here. And if we fail, Taemin asked. Then we fail trying to do something great. Dr. Sujin knocked on the door and entered. I heard about your transfer. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Do we have a choice? Yes. I can arrange for you to be transferred to medical training, or engineering, or communications. Safe jobs that would keep you away from combat. Hayoung looked at her friends. Sweet Taemin, brilliant Jinwoo, brave Soyoung. They had all followed her this far. She would not blame them if they wanted to choose safety now. What do you all think? She asked. I go where you go, Taemin said immediately. Same here, Jinwoo added. We are a team, Soyoung said. Teams stick together. Dr. Sujin smiled sadly. You are all either very brave or very foolish. Why not both? Hayoung said. The next morning, the 4 humans reported to advanced combat training. The instructor was Captain Ulfik, the black-scaled saurian, who had overseen Hayoung's trial. Welcome to advanced training, he said to the small group. Here, you will face real missions against real enemies. Some of you will not survive. Those who do will become the galaxy's elite military officers. He looked directly at Hayoung. I do not care what species you are or where you come from. In my program, there is only one rule: succeed or die. Are you ready? Yes, sir. Said good. Your first mission begins in 1 hour. Pirates have taken hostages on a transport ship. You will board their vessel and rescue the civilians. This is not a simulation. Real people will die if you fail. As they prepared for their first real mission, Hayoung thought about how far they had come. A few months ago, she was just a small human girl, trying to prove she belonged at the academy. Now she was about to lead real combat operations. Are you nervous? Taemin asked as they checked their equipment. Terrified, Hayoung admitted, but also excited. Why excited? Because this is what we trained for. This is why we came here, to prove that humans can stand alongside any species in the galaxy. They boarded the transport that would take them to their mission. Through the window, Hayoung could see other ships carrying cadets from different species to their own assignments. But she also noticed something else. On several of those ships, she could see mixed crews, aliens and humans working together as equals. The academy was changing. The galaxy was changing. And it had started with one small human girl who refused to accept that being different meant being less, as their ship jumped to hyperspace. Hayoung closed her eyes and thought about her grandfather's words. A tree that bends in the storm does not break. She had bent, she had survived, and now she was growing stronger. The real adventure was just beginning. Far below on the Academy station, Commander Veltar watched the transport ships disappear into space. His face was dark with anger and something else, fear. Fear that maybe, just maybe, he had been wrong about humans all along. And if he was wrong about humans, what else might he be wrong about? In the depths of space, Hayoung and her team flew toward their first real mission, carrying with them the hopes of everyone who had ever been told they were not good enough. They were no longer just cadets, trying to prove themselves. They were the future of the galaxy, diverse, brave, and united in the belief that strength comes in many forms. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter as they passed,